Hello, everybody. This is Skyfall Blind Dreamer. I'd like to welcome everyone to my live stream. This is my 13th Lucid Dreaming Q&A. It's also my second live stream on StreamYard. You guys can actually see me for a change, but I can actually turn the camera off if I want to, which I may do later. Hello, all. For those of you who are watching, just a little bit of etiquette before we start, just little house rules. There is one major accessibility issue with StreamYard, and that is in reading comments. The way it works is it squishes together the AM or PM in the time with the first word of someone's message. And the best way for you to help me with that is to always capitalize the first word of your message, just like with normal grammar in English class. Just capitalize the first letter of your message. That will really help me read it, so I don't have to try to guess at what you're saying, because that'd be really helpful. Just a little thing there. I discovered this last Monday night when I did my first stream on StreamYard. It's really like the only complaint I have. So again, considering this is a brand new streaming software, everything else I've used on it is really accessible. I'm raving over this thing. My only complaint is the way that it handles the live chat. That's it. And that's something you guys can definitely help me with. So, with the new comments. Hello. Hey, everybody. All right. Well, good day, everyone. Welcome to the chat. Let's get started. Panda didn't follow the thing. It'll be here in a few minutes or whatever. Okay. That makes it better. Yes, it does. Thank you. Uwe0401, thank you. Welcome. Bug Milk, welcome. Hello. G-Hounds. Yeah, G-Hounds. Hello, welcome. Welcome, everybody. It is 4:02 now. Well, we'll pass that. Yeah, I got to change the live chat settings. Remind me to actually change my live chat settings on my channel next time I do this. Hitting a new comments button is going to be a pain in the butt. Hey, Jonah. Yeah, hi. Yeah, okay. Whoop. Hold on. New comments. I'm just checking over some things real quick. Hello, STK, welcome. G-Hounds, thank you. Yeah, the chat's kind of being a little weird right now, but if I miss you, I apologize. It's being weird in the way that I'm not used to it being. So let's see. I plays games. Hello. My dream recall has been bad these past 2 weeks. I use intention setting, delving, and having a decent sleep schedule. I watched Sensei's dream recall video a few times and was confused a little. Oop. Hold up here. Yep, I have your comment showing on the chat so everyone can see it now. Well, I don't know exactly what's going on with you, to be honest. These things can fluctuate. Are you also reviewing your dreams before bed and setting intentions before bed as well? Yeah, these things can fluctuate. They can go up and down. So it's not too surprising that, sometimes you'll have some issues with recall. I do myself. Like last couple of days, my recall's been kind of bad, even though I've been getting the normal sleep that I normally get. I remembered like 2 dreams last night and maybe 1 or 2 from the night before. It's a pretty bad recall, let's be honest, especially for me. But yeah, that happens sometimes. But you're having some recall issues there. I'm just going over your message again. But what part is confusing you about his video? This new comments button is going to murder me. I'm gonna have to. Yeah. I'm gonna need a second, actually. All right, welcome back. Guys, I'm gonna need to go to a different window, I think, and change something in my stream. Let me just see here. I'm just dealing with a couple technical difficulties thing. Give me a second. This is. I do apologize, guys. I don't usually have these issues, and it's pissing me off. Then this is still new to me. Oh. You got another memorable LD, Jonah. That's awesome. G Hounds, you're gonna try your first lucid dreaming tonight. All right. So what techniques are you gonna try? You mind? You have any questions about anything? Have you read any of the technique guides? Yeah, it's kind of cool. Yes, it is one of the best experiences. Can't agree there. You knew you were dreaming. You were lucid. Hold on. Let me put Cortez Slayer on screen. Said, I knew I was dreaming, but lucid dreaming didn't work. Can you tell me why? It's because it did work. You knew you were dreaming. Lucid dreaming is nothing more and nothing less than knowing you were dreaming while you were dreaming. If you knew you were dreaming, you were lucid. There is a lot of inaccurate information about lucid dreaming. One of the things is the definition. People tend to think that lucid dreaming is controlling your dreams. In fact, people who aren't very familiar with lucid dreaming, if they've heard the term, that's what they would generally think it is. That's wrong. Lucid dreaming and dream control are skills. They're two separate skills. They're two separate things. They are related in the sense that you control your dreams when you're dreaming and you're lucid dreaming while you're dreaming. Lucid dreaming can give you an opportunity to attempt dream control. However, they are not the same thing. So equating one with the other is unwise. If you knew you were dreaming, you did in fact get lucid. I really hate this new comments button. Let me see if I can change that. Oh, let me. Oh, there we go. I put full screen on. That might help. Yes. UIHUI. Yes, that's correct. Hello, Fuju. I say 8 successful accidental wilds. Are you talking about Daleds that you had? You don't say wild induced lucid dreams. It's wake initiated lucid dreaming. That's what wild is. You just say wilds. Like all of them were nightmares. That is odd. And you were lucid in 8 dreams. They must have been short ones then if you had 8. And if you went directly out of one into another, you probably daled it. You probably daled it by accident. Which sounds actually kind of interesting. But it's not wild induced lucid dreams. That's wild. It's just wake initiated lucid dreams. Yes. Lizoid, that is correct. Being lucid doesn't always mean you can have control over a dream. It just means that you know you're dreaming. Yeah, I fixed my issues. I did my whole last stream in full screen mode, and in the standard mode when it wasn't in full screen, it kind of screwed it up. But it's working well. All right, you read some guides. You're going to try them out. Remember, G Hounds, that when you're trying techniques, if you have any mild questions, you can ask them here. I'll happily answer them for you. When you're going through techniques, it's important to be consistent and to practice the same technique consistently for at least a month to get an idea for how well it works for you. And getting lucid isn't the only thing you can notice. You can notice increased dream recall. You can notice, more vividness in dreams, you can notice that you maybe are starting to question things, but you aren't quite getting lucid. Like if you're noticing something's off, but you don't quite put together, that's actually something to encourage. That's something you want to positively reinforce. You want more of that behavior. Yeah, yeah, he's still lucid, Jonah, but yeah, like a lower, I call a low level lucid, kind of low awareness lucid. You know, you're dreaming at a moment, but just didn't do anything with it. Yeah, pleasure, Lizard. Oh, that sucks, Panda. Sorry to hear that. Jonah here, it's okay. Elemental, so Skyfall, how would you describe the vial technique? Since there are multiple guides in FAQ, I don't really know what to recommend. Vial is honestly something I don't practice, but I'll take a stab at it. It's basically you're trying to it's an imagination technique. Honestly, I don't even think the visual part even matters because incubation and imagination can be multisensory in nature. So like it's visualization though. But visualization encompasses all of your senses. Take it from a blind person. Visualization isn't just about visuals. Anyway, it's basically repeating a scene, a short scene, one that's not too complex, with the goal of getting you to question that if you're dreaming and to actually get lucid. The goal is that you think about a particular scene so much that you end up dreaming about it. It's not really a technique I personally do or really recommend much. Some people like it. Some people do it and get success with it. Some people like it, but it's not really something I do much of. But it can be effective if you actually incubate. Being critical in your dreams, um, and checking to see if you are actually lucid. But it's not a technique I personally do, so I really don't have much of in the way of any experience with it. I have done incubations before, but they've all been direct incubations and have been wilds. The times that I've done that, or I've incubated them in loss lucidity, which happened a couple times. But yeah, that's been my incubation experience. I keep saying I need to get back into it, but my issue with wilding is actually the falling asleep part. Mm, oof, yeah, that's my big issue with wild is falling asleep. I can imagine things with perfect clarity just fine. Um, I can try to gauge anchors, be aware just fine. Um, falling asleep is the problem for me. Kind of interesting to see the Discord gang here on YouTube. Yes, welcome to one of my live streams. This is normal. We normally have one of the Discord gangs here on YouTube. It can really depend which Discord gang it is. It can be the afternoon game or the night game, depending on what time I stream, and that's of course relative to my time zone. It's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon here in the Eastern United States, and for everyone else in the world, it can be anywhere from 4 in the morning to 2 in the morning, all the way around the world. I mean, it can be anywhere, honestly. Oh, that is a shame, Panda. It spells wilds correctly, so yeah, that was. I didn't say dialed. I said DEILD. That's dream exit initiated lucid dreaming. It's a type of wilding. It's a type of wilding where you basically don't fully wake up and you go directly out of one dream and either back into it or into another one, without fully waking up. Hello, Darian. Welcome to the live stream. Glad to have you. It's not exactly that you forget. There's nothing to the question. Well, if you're trying to do SAT, Panda, you don't always just have to question things. But like, you say there's nothing to the question. If you want to do a criticality practice, go through your memory since you last thought you woke up. Okay, so like you last think you wake up, you're in the middle of the afternoon, right? What have you done since you last woke up? Anything out of place in any way? Anything that doesn't make sense? Anything that could be considered anomalous or unusual to your normal routine? And then just be aware of what you're doing. What are you listening to right now? You're listening to a blind person give you lucid dreaming advice. All right, what are you seeing right now? You're seeing the blind person's face, which is to your detriment, I am sure. All right, what are you doing right now? You're watching a live stream on YouTube. All right, what are you feeling right now? I mean, I can't answer that one for you, but think about that. Engage your senses. Think about what you're actually experiencing in the moment right now, and then what you're doing situationally. Do that for sporadic awareness. Lorando, the piglet. Hello. You came lucid. Somebody started talking to me in Lost City. That's unfortunate. At least you got lucid, though. Think about the positives. At least you got lucid. Why, though? I'm not sure what you're asking there, Lorando the piglet. When I'm in hypnagogia, when does the dream appear? So I can enter because that never happens to me. Well, I don't get hypnagogia that often, hypnagogic hallucinations. When I do, I almost have like a 90% success rate of a wild. But the thing is, though, with hypnagogia, the transition isn't always going to be obvious. It could be something like you enter an actual scene, like you could even incubate a scene or enter a scene directly, and then you're somewhere that's not your bed or your house. I mean, that can happen. The other thing that can happen is you can still think you're in hypnagogia and have already transitioned into a dream and not even noticed. I've had that happen to me. In fact, one of my earliest wilds, it was LD number 7. The the only way I actually realized that I had transitioned into a dream was when I started hearing a voice on the other side of the room talking. And then I sat up in bed and it was still talking. And that's how I knew I'd entered a dream. I mean, it was pretty sudden in the case that this voice just started talking, but there was nothing. I didn't feel anything. There wasn't anything else. There wasn't any other indication. There's sometimes where I can feel sort of like I'm transitioning, but not always. I mean, when I got to the point where I was able to anticipate transitions, it kind of ruined it for me. But the thing is, though, it can be really subtle sometimes. Sometimes you just don't notice. Sometimes there are things to look for, and sometimes there aren't. Sometimes you just have to give it a few minutes and then try imagination movement or something and see what happens. Hello, Jenna. Yeah, no need to say her last name. I'm sure it is like in a public live stream, though. Thanks, Fieldju. How can you increase your vividness in a lucid dream? Anything that you expect to increase the vividness in a dream. And that can be something like, creating a graphics menu or imagining things coming to sharper focus. If you associate what you're trying to do with increased vividness, then that is a way you can actually do it. Talks about, so the thing in Sensei's video, I plays games. Computer time.
It's 4:18.
All right, I am a few minutes behind. I'm going to show you guys where I am so you guys can see in just a second. It said something about goals you want for dreams. Recall and separate dreams and lucid. If the person had any, I'm just confused on it. I'm not sure exactly what you're meaning by what you're talking about by that, to be honest. I do set intentions to remember goals. I do that. And goals that require lucidity, goals that I want to do. I do set intentions for those. No, I'm not really sure what you're going for by this description. It's kind of choppy a bit, and I'm not really sure. Separating dreams and lucid person. Yeah, what you're saying is you're probably misquoting something you said just by the fact that you don't understand it yourself, which is pretty clear because you're saying that you don't understand it, which is perfectly fair and understandable. But because you're not really understanding what was said there, I can't really understand what he was trying to say. So I'm sorry, but like I can't really translate. I don't really know what he's going to say. If he was not busy today, I'd bring him on here and have him answer that with me. But he's busy, so can't have him, unfortunately. I'm sorry, I would love to help you more with this, but I'm not sure exactly what he was talking about. But for recall, if you're talking about recall specifically, like I said, I talk about reviewing dreams before bed, reviewing dreams that you have remembered, thinking about your dreams more throughout the day. That's something I actually don't talk about, but that is something that can help you. The more you think about your dreams, like dreams that you can actually remember, that is engaging you with your dreams, and that can help you. Reviewing dreams before bed, setting intentions to remember dreams, delving when you wake up, and then journaling anything you're able to remember, and also delving during wake back to beds as well. Doing all of that. Not sure what you're going there for there, Lorenda. I'm not sure what you're going there. So in the evening, unlucky Panda. So in the evening, I should go through a whole day in my mind and check for unusual stuff? Yes. I was making sort of, but I didn't finish fully. Lol. Kind of work stuff. Yeah. Just do an actual criticality practice. Unlucky. Like go through your memories, Panda. Since you last thought you woke up, go through your memories for the day. Yeah, do that. Think about your day. Think about anything critically. Think about what you've done. Is there anything that's out of place in any way? Get yourself thinking that way. Do that when you wake up too. Like are you actually awake? Think about that. Think about what you would do if you were dreaming, and also what I talked about with awareness earlier. Do that as well. Wonder at which point between awake and dream you start feeling your body in the dream or the dream actually happening. I would say when you actually transition. Now, when you're getting hypnagogic hallucinations, it's kind of like a combination of the two. Because, for example, say I'm listening to something like say I'm creating audio in my brain, like, and I'm actually listening in imagining and visualizing audio. I can do that easily on demand. In fact, I'm doing it right now as sort of a side process, just randomly because I can, just random sounds for the moment. Now, the difference between that and, like, say, getting hypnagogic hallucinations, which for me are almost always auditory, in fact, they are always auditory, is that it sounds, instead of like it's coming from my head, it sounds like it's either coming from earphones or that there's a person in the room with me or a device in the room. And yet I'm still in bed. I haven't fully fallen asleep yet. And that's the transition state. You're transitioning from one to the other. And hypnopompia works the same way, except you're going from dreams to waking instead of waking to dreams. So when you actually fully transition is when you would have the full experience, of course. Did I just recall my 7th dream off the top of my head? Yes, I did. I memorized my first lucids, or recall is incredible. I have memorized my first lucids. My recall is sometimes incredible. I will say some of my most memorable lucids I memorized pretty well. I think it was like my 9th or my 10th where I tried to apparate out of my garage and wasn't able to, and just realized that because I tried to do that I got lucid. And then it was my 11th that I incubated a Boeing 737-800 and then tried to fly it. I remember, I think it was my 18th where I was at Teterboro Airport in a Cessna, but still wasn't able to take off. And it was my 20th where I actually was the first time I ever lost lucidity. And a 15th and 16th where I was lucid really early in the night for the first time ever. There's some I can remember really well, and there's some it's like 12, 13, 14 all happened on the same day. So did 22, 23, 24. Those were all Dales and False Awakening class. Yeah, there's some I remember really well from the early days. Some like 151 to 153. I'll always remember those. There's some of the 190s that I can remember. I think it's 215 is one that I can remember really well. 370 is also one I can remember really well. There's some really good ones. It really depends. Unlucky Panda, you forgot to capitalize. I do wild check myself. It doesn't really. I'm not sure what you're meaning. Oh, I got you. Hello, Supernova. No, my pleasure. You kind of expected Skyfall to have a deep and mellow voice, but he sounds like just a lot of English speakers. I guess I could try the mellow voice for you and make it deeper, but that's just a little creepy. Don't you agree? Anyway, guys. But yeah, welcome to your first stream with me. Yes, I like to make jokes every now and then. And yeah, that was just a perfect opportunity. Gotta say. Yeah, changing your YouTube name is probably a good idea. Not gonna lie. It's also probably a good idea to just be on your account with your channel and not your personal name. You can do that on your phone, by the way, too. So if you're on YouTube on your phone, hit the especially if you're on an iPhone, hit the Your Account button, and then when it pops up, hit the thing that has your name on it, not your Google account, like your email, but hit the thing that has your name on it, and it'll pop up your list of channels, and you can just select the channel that you want to appear as. I mean, I have a couple of channels on my account, and it's really easy. You just switch between them. Yeah, Darian. Yeah, it's yeah, and having fun is not there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I mean, that's a perfectly valid thing to do. Now, if there's some goals you really want to do, you can try to set intentions to do them more, and hopefully there'll come a point where you actually have discipline and do them. But if you're enjoying what you're doing, and there's nothing wrong with that. StreamYard is awesome. Hector, what is the best method for lucid dreaming? There is not one. In fact, that is a very subjective thing. There is no best method for lucid dreaming, just in general, because it can really vary from person to person. So something that might work well for some people, or even for a decent amount of people, doesn't make that the best method, because that would be an objective term, whereas everything is basically subjective for everyone. So, for example, for me, milding is the best. I can't fall asleep very quickly. Someone who can fall asleep very quickly and who can, retain awareness pretty well and balance well, wild would probably work really well for them. And someone who handles, awareness well might like SSLD as well. I mean, it's kind of one of those things. There's not really a best setting. It takes a good bit to kind of practice and experiment to figure out what works. One of the things I actually recommend as a little trick, if you want to practice multiple techniques per night, do multiple wake back to beds. You can go mild, go to bed, wake back to bed, mild again, go to bed, wake back to bed, wild, go back to try to wild, wake back to bed, or go to bed, wake back to bed, and try to SSLD, go back. I mean, you can do that. I mean, I naturally wake up like 6 times a night, so that is a valid thing to do. Though for some people, for a lot of people, they just don't want to do that many wake back to bed, so can't. And that's fine. So just pick one technique and do it consistently for at least a month. And yes, Jenna, thank you. And yeah, that's what I'd recommend doing. If you're practicing ADA or SAT and you notice something strange like a dream sign, how would I proceed? I would first acknowledge, hey, this could be a dream sign. Am I dreaming right now? Think about everything I've been doing. Imagine what I would do if I was dreaming and try to expect it to happen. Try to do maybe some random dream control. But yeah, if you notice a dream sign, anything out of place, just be aware of what you're doing. Be aware of your experience. That's a good cue to be aware of what's going on around you and the situation that you're in. Think about it. Does this make sense? Don't just try to reason away. Think, am I dreaming, as like your first thought to noticing anything out of place? Am I dreaming right now? And be critical about it. Think about it. Could you be dreaming? You could be dreaming in any situation. You could be dreaming watching YouTube. You could be dreaming on Discord. You could be dreaming listening to a blind person give you lucid dream advice. When you're waking up naturally, does it take longer to wild or does it matter? In fact, if you're waking up naturally, it's probably easier to wild because you're not getting abruptly jarred awake. Right, Jenna. Computer time.
The time is 4:27 p.m.
All right, give you guys 1 second. We're going to have a guest come on. It's going to be DJ Dreams. Testing 1, 2.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, okay. It works.
Welcome.
How about that?
I'm trying to catch back up in the comments.
I'm in the show.
424. Welcome to the show, guys. This is We Will Dream. He goes by DJ Dreams on Discord. And he's also a really good YouTube editor. He's awesome. Say hello to everybody.
Yeah, I do a couple things. Hello, hello, hello. I'm reading the chat, so I'll be able to see what people say, and so I know what's going on and chiming in and all that good stuff.
My pleasure, Jenna. Yeah, it's really easy to do on your phone. No need to use your personal stuff if you don't want to. I mean, it's not that hard to do. Yeah, I was just teaching Jonah how to change his YouTube account on his phone a few minutes ago, so he didn't have to use his personal stuff.
Oh, Jonah. Okay.
Yep. He's doing also Mr. Cappuccino Man over here. Not a coffee person myself, but to each their own. Anyway, how has your week been?
Oh, pretty good. Yeah, I got myself a little bit of chai tea. Well, it's a chai latte.
Chai latte.
It's like I had it for the first time this week, and I really liked it. I usually I'll do like a mocha with half and half, and that's really good. Or like an Earl Grey tea. Or it's called a London Fog. But yeah.
Oh, nice.
I don't do the Picard,
tea, Earl Grey, hot. Or the Janeway, coffee, black.
Yeah, they're both very like straight. Just give me straight caffeine to the veins.
Yeah. Get a hypo spray of caffeine.
Yeah, I'm not explore lucid dreams. How do you say that? Oi hui?
Don't ask me. UIHUI. I have no idea.
Well, I have been exploring lucid dreams for a while. In case any, I have my own channel at We Will Dream, but I know that Skyfall has a lot of fans from the Dream Cafe server. So if you don't know me,
come on over there. Give him a like. Give him a subscribe. He doesn't have a lot of subscribers, which is a real shame because he makes great content. So.
Oh, we'll get there. But yeah, I've been lucid dreaming most of my life, and I know a couple things. I like to read a lot about it and get into studies and stuff like that. So,
yeah,
I don't know. Did you want to talk about anything in particular? Or just kind of play off of what people are asking, or?
Yeah. Well, this is a Q&A. So the way I usually do this, I don't know. I think you've watched one or two of them before, so you know my usual way to do this. So if there are questions, the audience comes first, and I respond to them. If there aren't questions, we can just talk about whatever because there's dead air.
Sounds good. Hopefully, I'm not too loud or too quiet. Maybe somebody in the chat can let me know. Okay.
I can hear you just fine because I can actually hear you on my end.
Great. Great.
Unlucky Panda says, "Will will you ping voice chat every time I'm on Lucid VC?" I will.
Yeah, Skyfall does. I don't join voice as much. I'm I'm pretty busy, so I don't get a chance to go into the voice chat a lot. But if I'm in there, I think that was directed at Skyfall. But hey, if I'm in there, I'll ping it.
If he's in there, he's awesome to talk to. He does have a lot of experience, and his experience, everyone's experience in terms of learning lucid dreaming from the community, like on Lucid community, people like Kuki, DJ, Sensei, Mizik, who I wish was around more. All their experiences are unique and different, and they all have interesting stories to tell about it. So, they're all people who are worth listening to. Also, if you guys look at my channel, if you look at where I have OmniLucid and recommended channels, you can see his channel, We Will Dream, is in there, and you can subscribe to it from there, or you can just click it. He does streams almost every week. It's been every week for the past few weeks. He didn't do one this week, but he does one. He does streams very often, and they're usually good listens. They're combination of lecture and Q&A, so he does both, and they're quite fulfilling.
Yeah, I've been trying to figure out how, what kind of direction I want to go with it, and I think I figured out a good way so this week was just a little bit too much at work, so didn't really have time to put anything together, but next week I'll probably be doing something on dream interpretation. So I do instead of doing techniques and stuff, I've decided to kind of just do whatever interests me. And maybe I'll get around to techniques at some point, but right now I'm just like, okay, what do I feel like talking about right now? And I think right now it's mostly stuff that's kind of unusual for the community, because a lot of stuff that I think about is I kind of have a tendency to try to think outside the norm. So, and I also, when I first got onto the online community, I didn't really believe in techniques or anything. So a lot of my thinking is not really based on techniques.
Actually, you guys give me 1 second. I got to change the layout on this. Group layout. There you go. Now people can actually see you, which I'm sure you were not ready for. But Unlucky Panda was asking, where did I get the name Skyfall from? I first started going online in the year 2011, so in 2012. And if any of you guys knew big box office movies that came out around that time, James Bond, Skyfall. And there you go.
Great soundtrack.
Well, this is the end. I can sing that song, by the way, but I think Adele would probably copyright strike me if I tried to do that.
Yeah, that was a great soundtrack. A lot of those newer James Bond movies have really good soundtracks. The older ones are just iconic, but the new ones are really good.
I love when he breaks into Eb's apartment. She goes, "Where have you been?" And he goes, "Enjoying death." He goes, "What was that you said? Take the bloody shot."
Yeah.
Great lines. Just like the Q line from I think it was Spectre. He said, "I said bring it back in one piece, not bring back one piece."
Yeah. Cappuccino asks me, DJ Dreams. I use two E's and a Z. There's already an actual DJ with the name DJ Dreams, but whatever. It kind of matches my name. He asked what's my LD count?
A lot.
So I counted LD. So I lucid dreamed when I was a kid for a few years, and then as an adult I came back to it, and then I started counting, and I stopped counting around 300 something. Wow. 300 to 400, and that took me a few years to do that, and then I don't know. I just felt like counting wasn't. It was helpful for me for a while, but it kind of stopped helping, so I stopped counting. So if I was to give it an estimate, including when I was a kid, probably a few thousand, maybe more. So if I can get back to, having lucid dreams every night and being lucid in all my dreams, then, then it adds up really fast,
And just a couple things. iTech Club, hello, thank you for joining. Elemental, yeah, James Bond's awesome. Let's see. Whenever there's a question, one of the things I like to do, DJ, I'm gonna demonstrate so you can see this.
Let's see.
For example, I'm not going to highlight certain ones. I'm looking. Whoops. Let me go back up here to the one you were just on. Give me a second. All right. So whenever I'm answering a question, I can do this now, so everyone can see what question I'm on.
Oh, okay. Nice.
StreamYard rules. The only thing I don't like is that it squishes the time together with the first letter of what the person says. So it'll say PM, and then like as part of the first word, it's a couple accessibility issues. I might call them and complain about it. I'm still planning on buying this plan because you know what I can do with this if I buy the basic package? I think I mentioned this. I can stream to custom RTMP destinations, which means next time I host one of you guys on here, you guys can set up a stream on your own channel with an RTMP key. And then I could just add that as a destination and then stream to your channel as well as mine.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
I mean, that's that would be a true coordinated, like collaborative thing that I would love to do. Right.
Yeah, we'll see. Actually, my nephew has a YouTube channel, and he gave me a cool idea to do like one channel that's just shorts. A lot of creators do that.
I hate shorts.
I'm going to do that.
I will never, ever, ever do shorts because I like to actually explain things.
Yeah, I like shorts because what I'd like to do is just quick tidbits, and what people do is just sit there and watch shorts all day. That's what he'll do. He'll just sit there and watch one after the other shorts.
I really don't like listening to shorts because one, I don't get to choose what content I'm watching. It's all just back to back to back. Mm-hmm. Two, it's aside from that, I'd have to interact with something every minute. I prefer to listen to a video for 10 minutes without having to interact, and I still have to interact to skip the stupid ads, but it's better than every 30 seconds. I'm not a fan of short form content. I want something that's going to be more either informative or entertaining for a moderate to long duration. I like the 15 to 20 minute videos. Those are really good. Something that, like the Reddit story videos I listen to that are malicious compliance, things like that, usually 15 to 20 minutes. And those are pretty good. I can listen to, Darwin Award videos at the same length. I mean, they're pretty easy for me. Just shorts, though, are kind of annoying for me. Like, honestly, I also like to thoroughly explain something when I'm explaining it. So that takes longer than 30 seconds. Yeah. How close am I to Omni? It's a long way to Omni.
I mean, not that far from it, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm at 506. I'm nightly. I've had a weird week. So like I've been going every other night, getting 2 LDs for the past few days. So like 2, 0, 2, 0, 2.
But when you say that, what's the level of your lucidity? Like how
it really depends. Like several of them are like lower level ones. A couple of them are higher level. Like the first one today was lower. The second one today was a little bit better, especially at the end when my keyboard turned into Braille paper, and I told the Star Trek shipboard computer to make it more consistent.
Nice.
And then I woke up right after that. It was really funny. I was having a little fun on that one. That was one was based on my Star Trek game, and I made the door to the transporter room, instead of being a sliding door, I made it into a swing door and then held it open past the point where it would normally close. And then the other person didn't come out, and then it still closed, and then it reopened the normal way. It was really funny.
Yeah. I think like for me, it tends to be where when I'm Omni, my early night dreams are low level lucids, and then it gets higher as it goes along. But in the last year, that has changed a little bit. Things are getting a little weird. So I'm really excited. I've been practicing consistently for about 3-4 weeks now. So I'm really excited to see where I go.
I've still been practicing consistently for 556 days.
Yeah, that definitely helps.
It does. Hello, Time Veneska. Welcome. Yeah, I will say, like, my recall's been kind of up and down. The past few days, recall's been kind of mishy. Also, my sleep schedule's been a bit weird. I've been going to bed later than I normally would. Also, like, just in the past several months, I haven't really improved much, but I've been mostly consistently stable. Like, I've been hovering around that 50 to 52 dreams behind my day count since January. And one of the reasons for that is because my sleep schedule is radically different in the middle of the week. So I had 9:30 classes every Tuesday and Thursday, and then every other day of the week I could get up, at different times. So like I hate getting up in the morning, and that kind of robs me of sleeping time. So I don't get lucid as frequently on those Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then I can get more on those Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and it still balances out to about 7 a week. And I've been consistently that way for 4 months straight. Just that I haven't really had much improvement. I want to get to that multiple a night consistency. That's what I want. Where I can get multiple every night. That's what I'd love to get to next. You think Sensei taught Skyfall Streamlabs skips? Lol. No, he just told me that he told me he was going to use it for his stream he did with Jamal last week. And before he did that, I said, Streamlabs sounds cool. I want to see if it's accessible. I got into it. I got Jake Hover. If you guys know Jake Hover, he's a dream guide on Dream Cafe, and he's on Lucid too. He was in my first ever stream. Did it last Monday night, and I beat him to the punch in terms of doing a StreamYard stream. I beat Sensei to the punch. I did my first actual live one. I'd done a couple of test streams a couple days before that just to jig around with it, but I did that first real one last Monday night, and it was awesome. Had a lot of fun, and I'm really enjoying this one. This is going to be the future of my channel. I'm going to do a lot of StreamYard streams. I can do collabs. I can do interviews. I can do multiple person Q&As. There's a lot I can do with this. Sensei also what? Hey, DJ, you still there? Hold on a sec. Somebody got disconnected.
I went and closed the wrong window. That was user error right there.
Let's give him a warm round of applause and not a slow clap at all for that.
Back in the show. I was like, hey, I'll get in the chat in my We Will Dream profile, and then I closed the wrong window.
Yeah. As I love Dwight saying Skyfall speedrunning Omni, I can hear the music. While doing wild, can you control the hypnagogic hallucinations? Yes. I gotta scroll back up a bit to find where I was. Bye, Cappuccino. Give me a second. All right. But yeah, you can control hypnagogic hallucinations. It's more like, this is where I am now. It's more like directing the flow of a river for me. Like if I get them, they're always auditory, and I can sort of use my imagination to influence the direction they head and then use that as a wild anchor. And if I get them, I have like a 90% chance of getting wild. I just don't get them often.
Yeah, I don't really experience hypnagogia and wilds as much as I used to. And I fall asleep really fast. So that's probably another reason why I don't really experience it much. The
funny thing is, though, falling asleep quickly is a great thing for wild. I mean, at least you don't wait around for 40 minutes trying to figure out when the grass is going to turn green on the other side. I mean,
yeah. So the most thing that I usually experience now is a feeling of falling into my bed. Mm-hmm. And it's like body sensations, where I used to have a lot of sounds. I'll have that stuff once I get into the dream, but it doesn't really happen during the transition anymore. Because I'll end up in my bed, in my bedroom, and then things will start, a dream will start happening. So it's almost, it's very similar to hypnagogia, but
most of mine are false awakening class, most of my wilds, and I can kind of get that feeling a little bit too, but if I get hypnagogia, it's mostly auditory, and it can be it last a minute or two, and then I'm dreaming, and then I can get up and start screwing with crap. But most of the wilds that I've had are false awakening class and take place in my bedroom. There are a few that aren't, and those are few and far between. One of my issues with wild is I was really good at it when I first started, because I didn't know when I was actually transitioning, so I didn't know what to look for. And now that I know what it would kind of be like if I started to transition, I am like hyper alert to the point of I immediately snap out of it every time I get close, which is annoying as hell.
Right. Yeah, I'm very familiar with that stage for sure.
Yeah.
If you keep on doing it, it's just a matter of relaxing into it.
Yeah, well, that's my problem. I've been trying to keep on doing it for a year. Occasionally, I'll get a wild, like maybe once every couple of weeks.
So
I think my
when
last wild was a couple weeks ago.
it like I think it was almost I think it was I don't remember when it was actually, but I'm pretty sure it was over a year ago. It was like a month after you started, and you were talking about having Lucids in your room and then getting like a computer console thing to use to
That
like
never actually
teleport and stuff.
that never actually panned out. But what I'm trying to create something else now.
Okay.
The reason that didn't pan out is I had some major scheme issues back then, and I still have anxiety issues in a lot of my dreams. And
Okay.
that causes control issues. Anxiety causes control issues for me. That's
Yep.
my number one cause. One of my biggest issues that I used to have schematically was expecting to wake up 30-second lucids. I had those for like 5 months, and then the other one was not being able to change anything in my house or control things, everything being too consistent. And it took me a long time to literally break out of jail in my house. I finally was able to make rooms that didn't exist, and that was step one to changing something else. 153, 151, 153. 153 still remains one of the best examples of that, where I made an elevator to space. That was fun. And I've had some interesting ones. I had one where I created, it was this like, I was false awakening after false awakening I had in my bedroom. I just, anxiety keeps causing those too. They'll cause false awakenings when I try to control things sometimes. But anyway, I created a null space behind my dressers by walking in place and having my dressers move past me. And then instead of there being a wall behind them, there's just a null pocket. So I was like, if I'm behind the dresser, I'm behind the wall, but then I'm walking in place, so I don't actually walk into the wall.
Interesting.
So it was actually a really interesting application of who's smarter than the dream. And I had let's just say I had fun with that. Anyway, Elemental asked me how fast do I tend to become lucid? And the better you get with dial text, the earlier you recognize, right? Yeah, generally that's a general rule. And for me, it can really fluctuate and vary. Sometimes I'll recognize like really quickly, hey, this doesn't make any sense. And sometimes I'll go like right to the end. I'll be like, crap, I'm dreaming right now, and then wake up. And like it can really vary for me. Again, it fluctuates. My school schedule has something to do with this. You know, I've not been following my own advice and having a consistent sleep schedule as much as I could. I've still been getting lucid, but I've been not following my own advice. Practice to preach, bro. It's me telling that to myself. But yeah, having a sleep schedule where you have to get up early 2 days a week when you are not a morning person is just I hate it. And that kind of throws everything else off and makes me mad. Anyway, enough of that. Void Dragon. Oh my gosh, I'm on the big screen. You accidentally closed. I just caught up to your comment.
Yeah.
Happens the best. Yeah, it's really more of a stealth mission if you think about it. Yeah, I agree with that. It's about letting it happen, not trying to make it happen. My problem is letting it happen. I'm very much an alpha type kind of, I create a plan for something and I bring that plan into fruition. So one of the reasons I also count more too is I'm a data and detail oriented. Like, no, I don't drink tea. For example, when I flew back home from Washington, D.C. via Boston, it's not like I just flew via Boston. I flew on American Airlines Flight 2143 out of Gate 9 from Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport at 4 p.m. departure time, and seat originally 2F, was able to switch to 2D, so I had an aisle. Flight lasted about an hour and a half, landed around 6 o'clock at Gate Bravo 14 at Boston Logan. Almost spent $50 on a pizza because I thought it wanted my credit card's PIN number, or my debit card PIN number, and it was asking for a donation. And was lucky enough to make my flight. See, I'm a detail person. How did I get rid of the 30 seconds LD schema? Months of practice. It went from expecting to wake up and waking up to trying to ignore the possibility of waking up to trying to expect not to wake up to that changing into false awakenings, which was like my first real indication that something was different, because it was going from me waking up every time I was getting anxious to that going into false awakenings. And then it's sometimes that happens a bit. And also I've gotten better. My LD time has gone up to around 3 to 5 minute average, about 5 minute average, and I get some longer ones. Star Trek Dream today, for example, was longer than that. So the times have gone up. I still don't have anything longer than 30 minutes. I wish, but I don't yet.
That's a tricky one.
Mm-hmm.
There you can
Maladaptive
you can
yeah.
work with it in, well, I guess with all schemas you can work within the dream or you can work outside the dream on
I've done a
both of
lot of
them.
working outside
And
because I didn't have much time in the dream to work with it.
yeah, a lot of it yeah, when you don't have any time to work with it, then you kind of have to. But
Yeah, that's the battlefield I was on.
I think there's this, something happens in the dream. If you can become aware of what's happening to cause that schema, and like become aware of the process in the dream, and then kind of like you wake up from it and you can like write it down exactly how it goes. Like, okay, I get lucid, and then this happens, and then I feel this, and then this happens, and I feel this. If you can break it down to that level, then you can work with it a lot easier and start setting intentions and adjusting your expectations in waking life.
Yeah.
So
And
it's going to
also,
take time.
I can tell you how I got, yeah, it does take time. And I can tell you how I got the schema issue in the first place. And it actually started from underestimating my first lucids and how long they were. For example, the first one I counted as like 1 second long. I just got lucid at the end. It was probably closer to a minute. The second one that I counted as about 2 minutes was probably more like 10. I just got lucid at the end of it. It was a series of different dream scenes. And I got lucid in the second to last one. And I only counted the part that I was lucid in, not even the false awakening after it or the stuff before it. So one of my issues from the beginning was underestimating how long my dreams were. And then the other issue is the fact that I was a beginner. So once I started having these and getting shorter lucids, then I started internalizing that. Those are the two big mistakes that I made. And that caused, it's really easy to make those mistakes. It's a lot harder to fix them. Darian asks, how do you control your dreams? You do something that you associate with an expectation of it working. So the short long answer is your strong associations and your emotions control what happens in your dreams. That's what I call expectation. Things you most expect to happen are what happens. So the way you control your dreams is by doing something you expect to work. And it can be literally anything in your imagination. That's something you think of on the spot, something you've decided in advance. Is if you expect it to work and you're in an emotional state is comparable to that, you're confident or calm about it or excited about it, and you expect it to work, then yeah, that's basically the short long answer for how you do it. It can literally be infinite in terms of the ways that you have at your disposal to do that.
Yeah, on the 30 seconds thing, last year I tried counting in a lucid to see how long I could stay in the dream and count. And I counted up to about 30 seconds, and then when I woke up, I realized I was taking like 3 or 4 seconds to do 1 second. So I was going like 1, 2, like I was really slow, you know.
Yeah.
And another thing with that, it kind of ties into how do you control dreams. The thing about lucids is you don't need to control anything to be lucid. It's just being aware. So a lot of times that expectation of control, I think that expectation of control ends dreams a lot, because the exercising of the energy to control a dream, for me at least, has ended dreams a lot. So if you
For
can
me,
manage to focus on just being aware, that's the important part.
I would say for me, what has ended dreams was not trying to control them, but being anxious over doing so. The anxiety is definitely what ended it for me. I can relate to personal experience there.
If I was to break it down into like a theory, I think it's splitting your awareness between the dream and what you want the dream to be. And so it takes away the awareness. So it's kind of the same deal as splitting your awareness between awareness of the dream and awareness of your body in bed, you know, as you're sleeping. And at some point you can be aware of both at the same time. And I think what you can do to really help you in your lucid dreams is to form schemas in waking life, like schema like a TV show of somebody using a superpower, or like Skyfall. I know you use Star Trek, so kind of building those in waking life can help.
Yeah, I will say so. So just to add to that, so the other question was just how do you control your dreams? Not actually, associating control and lucidity. Something I think I addressed earlier before you came on here. Actually, I did address that, but what's kind of important to consider is there are different ways to control your dreams. So when we talk about dream control, to try to like just physically manhandle everything in the scene to make that everything you want, that is probably I think I'd be agree to say this a really dumb way to go about it, just because there are there's this common phrase in the world today. It's called work smarter, not harder. So by creating schema to do the things you want to do, there are things that you don't have to try to control every bit of it. You just direct it in a way that you want it to go. And you're working smarter, not harder. You're getting the results that you want with much, much less effort. That's sort of my approach to that.
Yeah, and it's about being adaptable, because you don't have to consciously construct schemas. You can also just go into the dream and just play around and see what works.
Yeah.
And the things that work are going to be based off your existing schemas, and you
Also,
can just play to your strengths.
Yeah. Also, like things in a dream, like we call this like naturally trying to do something in a dream. Things like that can actually work really, really well. I'll give you an example. I think it was 191. It was one of the 190s, I think, in terms of my list. I have to go back and look at this. But I was walking into a room I created off my bedroom when I started exploring the creation. It might have been earlier than that, actually. It was earlier than 190s. It was maybe in the early 120s or 130s, actually, because it was before the 150s. Anyway, I was walking into this room and I was trying to explore around, and I was losing tactile sensation, so I pulled gloves off my hands and got sensation back. So things you think of on the spur of the moment to do, sometimes like that, you already are expecting them to work, and that expectation actually causes it to work the way you want it to. And it's all about your emotional state at the time and what you're associating it with doing. So if you're immediately thinking of doing this thing to get the result you want, that's the only association you have with that thing, is getting the result that you want. I'm going to move on to elemental. It's asking if I'd sum up the mild technique in a couple of sentences. How would I do it? Know the general idea is confusing for new people. How would you describe it? Well, I would say you're setting an intention to recognize that you're dreaming by making that decision and associating it with your dreams through use of your recall. I will say there's no way to really effectively describe a technique like that in just a couple of sentences, because there are nuances and there are things that I think are good to understand. And I really don't think just a couple of sentences can do any technique really justice in terms of trying to figure out an effective process to do it, which is what I'm about teaching people, is like effective ways to go about it. But I would say it involves associating your desire, your intention to know that you're dreaming with your dreams, using your dreams as a mnemonic for that.
If I said the mild technique in a sentence, it's like waking up from a dream and then trying to go back into it.
That would be Dale.
No. It's mild. Not coming out of a dream and then going back in without doing anything. I mean actually waking up, fully waking up, and then going back in.
The problem with that is you're completely ignoring doing it before bed. So you
can do that, but the classic mild is to be done during a wake back to bed. That's the highest likelihood you're going to have.
The classic one, yes, but I'm an opportunistic sort of person. So my advice is to never waste an opportunity. Do both. Do it before bed.
So what do you use? What memory do you use when you're doing it before you go to sleep then?
I have a plethora of dreams at my disposal, and I just pick one from the night before. In fact, I usually use all of the dreams I can remember from the night before. So if I remember 3 or 4 different dreams, I go through each one and do the process in turn with each.
I think, that's a great way to do it. But when you just woke up from a dream, it's fresh in your head.
When you just woke up from a dream and you recalled it well, I do agree with you that that's a really good time to do it. But I also don't want to discount, because there are people, especially like people who are modern people who study lucid dreaming, that also recommend doing both as well now. Not just us, but like actual psychologists who study this.
The reason why I would say it's like waking up from a dream and then going back into it, because a lot of people have that experience already, where they wake up in the middle of the night, go back to sleep, and then go back into the same dream. And I think it's relatable, and that's what's important there, is to get a relatable experience.
It might be relatable, but I don't think it's descriptive, and I just don't want to give people the wrong impression, because they can easily do that.
Yeah, I mean, things are going to work differently for different people. So that's the way I would say it, because I think it's broadly applicable to the largest population. If I was to sum it up in a technical, descriptive way, nobody would understand what I'm saying.
I don't have a wild guide. Did you do a wild guide? I think you did, right?
Nope.
Neither of us have a wild guide.
I haven't done any technique guides.
Congratulations.
I haven't done any guides.
Now this guy's having his comment in public. Look at this. Well, we're going to answer this, but just so you know, none of us actually have a wild guide. And we actually discussed wild a bit earlier. you saw the wild guide. I'll just take my guide out of it. Don't understand how you're supposed to not just have your body fall asleep. It's just you fall asleep. And you're not focusing on an anchor. You're paying attention to an anchor. I mean, the difference between paying attention to and focusing on something is if you're listening to me and trying to imbibe what I'm telling you as a response to your question, you're focusing on what I'm saying. If you just know that I'm speaking, you don't care what I'm saying, then you're being passively aware that I'm talking. That's sort of the difference between the two. If you're focusing, that generally implies that you're already paying more attention than you should be. But it's just being aware that the thing is there as you fall asleep, and you can have external or internal anchors. I mean, there's a debate that goes both ways, back and forth on this. I don't know which side of the fence you fall on, DJ, but Sensei and I are kind of on the mental anchor side. Mizik is firmly on the external anchor side, and it's an interesting debate to have. And honestly, I like the back and forth we just had on Mild because I think having these different perspectives is a good thing to have. I want more of this. I want to do more streams like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it different perspectives. I would call it things are going to work differently for different people. So for me, I can present pretty much any angle, but it depends on what the person needs for themselves.
Yeah.
And a lot of times a person's going to have to discover what is good for them. Mm-hmm. So, for a long time, people just say, and people still do say this, just try a bunch of different techniques and see what works. I really don't like that approach because I don't think it actually addresses any of the root causes of why somebody would get lucid or not. And so people end up going back and forth between techniques.
And also going back and forth without much time spent is just not helpful in the first place.
Right. So of course you want to be able to focus in on one technique for a while and see how it works for you. The thing is that it takes years to really fully understand how a certain practice is, how you respond to it, how you go through it. Good, just doing it over and over and over and over and over again. It's not just knowing facts about it and knowledge about it. It's about having the experience and be able to respond in the moment based on your past experience.
I've been adapting my practices since November of November of 2020 when I started doing certain ones. I've been adapting and adapting and adapting and adapting and adapting and adapting ever since. And that's part of the experience, is trying to make something that's effective for you. And that's sort of where you go from there. But I will say, just though, in general, I do think we have a little bit of different perspective on that, on Mild in particular, like because of the way that we would describe it to people. I think that is a different perspective. You focus more on the wake back. Well, you focus more on the wake back to bed side of things, and I focus more on do it every time you can.
It depends on what you're looking for. Are you looking for a lucid right now? Are you looking to make this a practice for the long term? If you want to do a lucid right now, well, coming from a beginner's perspective, if you want a lucid right now, your best bet is going to be to, on a weekend, manipulate your sleeping schedule to get REM rebound using a wake back to bed. That's, it's kind of indisputable what the best ways to get lucid dreams are for the short term. For the long term, that's where all of the different ideas come in about, what's best for who. And, for a while, when you're talking about anchors, I don't really care because it's just a matter of trial and error. What actually works best for you? And the thing is, it's not going to work the same every time. And it may not even work long term for you. So I used to experiment a lot with different anchors. And I would use external anchors or internal anchors. I used counting a lot until I got annoyed with it. And I started trying different external anchors. Like one of the most effective anchors I had was an audio track of a drum beat. And it was 120 beats per second. It was this rawhide drum. And it was this shaman track thing. And it's just the sound of a drum. That was the most effective anchor I've ever used. I tried to use it the next night, didn't work. So anchors to me I think anchors are a way to learn how that process works rather than an essential piece of the practice. And it's going to work differently for everybody. And then it may even work differently from night to night.
Yeah. Although I do think it's kind of important that you're aware. You kind of do need to be aware, even of just something. I mean, even if it's just being aware of yourself. I mean, that could be an anchor as well. Being aware of just you. I mean, it doesn't have to be something external or something you specifically think about. It could just be something simple as that. I mean, I've wilded like that by not really paying attention to anything specific, but I've just been aware in general. So I can be, that's being aware of myself, basically. Being aware of falling asleep. That's been an anchor before. It doesn't work much these days, but I've done that before. But anyway, one thing to go back to something Sensei said, because he brought this up actually a couple of weeks ago. I believe it was a couple of weeks ago. And he talked about wilding, and it was a few weeks ago. And I talked about anchors. Sometimes there'll be certain times where some anchor will work well for you, and other ones will work better for you at different times. And he actually brought that up. And then to go back to what you said about, something else. You know why the appeals court judge reversed the decision?
Because somebody appealed?
No, trial and error. That's just a legal joke for you. And things didn't get as weird as they could have. I mean, we could have really gone into the weeds, but nah.
No, I mean it's an audio track, right? So use what works. And
also, what
I was looking for was a drum beat, so I found a drum beat.
Also, I do have something for you, and I've been telling everyone this because of the way StreamYard works. If you type in the chat, if you could please put a capital letter at the beginning of your sentence, English things, because it squishes PM, or like the end of the time. So when it gets the time of the message, it squishes that together with the first letter of the message. So that means it reads as PMITS instead of PM-ITS. Just for example, for what you just sent. And that's kind of annoying a little bit. So I've been asking people if they could use capital letters because it really helps me read the messages. You weren't here for that. I did that at the beginning.
Sure.
It's only weird if you let it get weird. True. Cannot deny that, I guess. Anyway, speaking of your streams that you did on April 9th, that 2-hour one, it took me, it took me most of 2 flights to listen to that.
Yeah.
Well, one, I was in the middle of my flight to Denver when I was going to my day trip to Denver. That was supposed to be a day trip that turned into a 2-hour trip with a 6-hour flight. Really enjoyed it, by the way, though, because I like flying. I was working and actually was trying to listen to it on my work computer. And this is actually hilarious. I was trying to get into the live chat, but I wasn't going to use the YouTube association with my university email account that had my full name on it. I'm not that stupid. And I tried to log into my Gmail account. And you know what it was telling me? It said I had to the only methods for verification it was giving me were on my phone. And when you're flying on a plane, can you imagine why that could be an issue?
Well, nowadays they have Wi-Fi, but you have to pay for it.
Yes, so. And I had the Wi-Fi on my computer, and it wasn't worth $19 to be able to get access to the YouTube app on my phone.
I'm not worth $19 to you? Wow. No, I'm kidding.
That's not worth $19. So anyways, just to confirm my identity so I could log into it on my computer, my own account, and it gets better, though. The account I was already in was the recovery account for the account that I was trying to log into.
Yeah.
And then it gets even better than that. It says I land, and like a little bit later, I get emails to both of those saying, Google have prevented someone from hacking into your account. I was like, no, Sherlock, you prevented me from getting into my account.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, one of these days, everyone will realize the truth of the 5 ways, and it will permeate the entire community.
It was that stream, and
yeah, that's been my longest.
I listened to most of it on the flight back from Denver. I was live when I was flying into Denver, but landing is a thing when you fly on planes, and they don't let you keep your laptop out for that. So I ended up doing my thing in the airport, and then I got on my flight back home, 3-hour flight, and most of the flight was spent listening to your stream, which means I only had time for half of Sensei's by the time I was done with yours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've always had kind of a love-hate relationship with techniques because I think they can be really I think that approach can be really destructive for a lot of people's expectations and schemas. It seemed like the lucid dreaming schemas are lucid dreams are so fragile at first anyway.
That can be a schema too.
Right, but like something I saw over and over and over again in the Dream Views chat when I was in there as a dream guide and stuff was people would have a natural talent, and then they would, and I've seen this from people not only Lucid Discord as well, they'd have something where they were naturally doing it. Then once they learned, quote unquote, learned the actual, learned from Dreamfuse, the forum, from people that were on there, all of a sudden they couldn't do anything anymore because it was screwing up their expectations of how things should go. And so it's really fascinating to me, that whole thing. There was one person in particular that I remember that was doing wilds at the beginning of their night, right when they went
And then
to
someone
sleep.
told them that they couldn't do wild at the beginning of the night.
And then they went on the forum and read the wild guides, and they stopped being able to do that. And then they ended up leaving because they
created an
anymore.
expectation they couldn't do it at the beginning of the night, even though they'd already been doing it.
Right.
I knew exactly where you were going with that.
And it's almost impossible to prevent that because people just assume that people that are in the community have more experience and know more, and so they see them as an authority figure. It's basically a nocebo.
And
There's the placebo and the nocebo.
And you know where the worst examples of this are, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's that. Obviously,
it's the exact same thing. It's just worse. Because when people get into that content, they think that the people they're watching are authorities, and then they follow what they're doing, and they create schema like that, like the don't do certain things in dreams schema.
That's like the highest view video.
If you think the person that you're watching is an authority, then you believe that, you internalize it. I mean, it's the exact same thing as what you were talking about. It's just in a different format.
It is very similar. Yes. I think it's actually more destructive when it's somebody that's giving you technical information that the more legitimate it sounds, I think the more destructive that maladaptive nocebo kind of thing is going to be.
And the better that someone presents the information to. How good someone is at presenting it can also be a role too. If someone's, presenting it really well and, is coming across that way, like confident, like they actually know what they're doing, then that can, for someone who hasn't actually researched the topic themselves, i.e. me in 2020, that can have some pretty bad effects.
And that's how cults start.
That is how cults start. The one I love Void Dragon. Look at this. I bet the one thing Yuki hasn't eaten in a dream is food.
He's probably eating dragons.
Yuki is hilarious. Blank, but name whatever that messed up.
I had a thought earlier, and just to spit it out, when it comes to Hukif, and like we assume these people are like gods in their lucid dreams that are controlling everything, which is true, but the actual method of control isn't what people think it is. Beginners tend to think that, and even a lot of newer people tend to think that dream control is like you're controlling absolutely everything in the dream. But the thing is after you've got enough experience with control, you're able to work with the dream, and the dream will do the thing that you want for you.
I mean,
so
let's
almost
go back
like
to Star Trek,
a passive kind of thing.
I want to draw a comparison to Star Trek because you know who my favorite Star Trek character is from Next Generation.
From Next Generation?
Yes.
Well, Data? Was it Data?
No.
I don't remember.
Guinan's worst enemy.
Oh, Q, right.
Yes. If Star Trek were a dream, Q would be the dreamer. Now, even look at the way Q controls things. He doesn't control every single bit.
He
winds people up and lets them go and watches them for his own amusement. He'll create pocket universes, he'll create stuff, and he'll create scenarios and then just let them play out and watch. Mm-hmm. I mean, even Q, with the power that he has, doesn't control everything. He only controls things when it's convenient.
And then he gets in trouble with the continuum when
he's perfectly happy to manipulate people without actively using his powers on them. And that's a really good example though for like lucid dream control. He doesn't have to control everything. He doesn't have to sustain the universe himself. He just has to manipulate certain things and direct it in the way he wants it to go.
Yeah, I think watching that show and when I think about characters, I think, what is the show trying to tell me about this character? Because Star Trek is a lot of very moral plays essentially, and what I take away from Q is no matter how much power you have, you cannot use power to cause personal growth and to build relationships.
Yeah.
That I think that's like the biggest lesson from Q. I love that character a lot.
I did Q when
It's
he
in the
does that
first
with Riker.
episode. It's like it's great.
I love that he intercepts humanity, Picard, and he puts him on trial for the crimes of humanity.
Yeah.
Forces him to plead guilty. Oh, I mean that's amazing. It doesn't get much better than that. Although, except at the very end where he says, "You don't understand it, do you? The trial never ends."
Yeah, but I wonder if like maybe Gene Roddenberry, like Q, is the writer of the show because he's got the god powers, and maybe it's like he's putting himself. I don't know.
I don't know. I just love the character. I mean, I will say that my favorite episode to talk about Q's power and stuff is Deja Q, where he doesn't have his power, and and they're talking and they're saying like, not only will that plan destroy your precious or rip the moon to pieces, but it'll destroy your precious ship as well. So what would you do? Except I try to find the cause of the problem, not just analyze the symptoms. And we tried that because it was obviously a gravitational anomaly passing a perpendicular to the plane of the star system, likely a black hole. And it's like, what would you do? Simple. Change the gravitational constant of the universe. What? Change the gravitational constant of the universe. They were making everything lighter. It's like, how do you do that? You just do it.
Yeah, there you go. That's control for you. You just do it.
Yeah.
Nike.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hukif is a Sparta. Yep.
Yeah.
Hooey. His comment.
Look at what Void just said a little bit ago.
Cool idea is that the dream is giving you a challenge that you have to overcome with dream control. Take that as literally as you want. Yeah, I mean that's a cool schema to work with. I tend to I don't know. I know this is probably, you're going to say this is a schema, but my dreams tend to resist my like anything I try to do.
Resistance is futile, and yeah, I would say it's a schema because my dreams have done that too, unless I expect them not to, and they don't.
It's like I can be aware of my schemas, but it's not something that I can.
Harder than being aware of them.
Right, it's not something I can just overcome in a moment.
It's much easier to create them than it is to, like I said, it took me months to overcome some of my bad ones, and even to this day, I still have anxiety issues with dream control. Now, one of the things that really helps with dream control is if there's a dream character present. Like if I'm doing something with someone else, my chances go from 50 to 60% to like 100%.
Yeah. So little story. So I came back to lucid dreaming when I was 22 after not dreaming since I was about 9. Lucid dreaming since I was about 9, and my first lucid dream, I had read one of LaBerge's books, not Exploring the World Lucid Dreaming, but Conscious something. This is his other book that came out a couple years later. And I read about the wild technique. And I remember doing that when I was a kid. And so I was like, oh, that's really cool. I went and had an interview. I slept for about 5 hours, did an interview, was awake for about 3 hours, came back home, went back to sleep. And I immediately just rolled out of my body. Awesome. And then floated out into the yard and like kissed a childhood crush, and like her mouth turned into sand. Kind of weird.
Oh Lord.
But that dream was amazing. But it was like I had the same problem with expectation schemas going into the lucid dreaming community. The more I read, the more issues I had with my lucid dreams. And I honestly, I knew what was happening. And so I was just like, this is dumb. Why is this happening? I wish I could, because I can't really control everything. Right. So a lot of the like dozens of my first 300 were just me flying, just blasting off into space. And because I loved the feeling so much, I just go fly.
I love the feeling too. But one of my biggest schema issues is whenever I get in the air, I start expecting to lose sensation, and that causes me to either have a false awakening or to wake up.
Yeah. So yeah, I would constantly get thrown into the void, just total darkness. But over time, the way I solved that was by obsessing over goals. And I would have a specific goal in mind. Because like as soon as I got into the lucid dream, I'd be like, oh, this is great. Boom. And I'd fly because I wanted to feel good. But over time, I was able to like shift that excitement to goals, and then I would just go boom and go do my goal. And then over time I had to slow that down as well and just like be in the dream and like chill, you know?
Yeah. To answer Elemental here, I have seen Interstellar or heard it when it came out in theaters years and years ago.
I love flying.
Flying is awesome. I do enjoy it too. I have better success when I'm flying with a dream character than when I'm flying alone, because I have schematic issues where I lose sensation or expect to and have like get anxious over that, and that anxiety causes it to happen again and again. In fact, it most recently it happened in 504 2 days ago. I was jumping in the air and then I was ended up on top of my dresser. I'd gotten a phone call from my parents to talk about my paper and like stuff, and they would conference called me. Which, if we have a conference call in the family, I'm the one who hosts and initiates it. So I was getting these, and instead of having just their names at the top like it would be normal, let's say mom and dad at the top, it had two phone numbers, one after the other, and one had a 321 area code. The other initially had a 265 area code, then went to a 303 area code, and maybe a 308 at one point. And I was like, I think I'm dreaming. I'm just gonna double check real quick. So I was like telling my friends, I was like, you can hold on a sec. I think I'm dreaming. I'm just gonna double check. So I just got off my bed, put slippers on, jumped in the air, and I was sitting on top of the dresser. I was like, yep, I'm dreaming. And then like slid off the dresser and like flew back over to my bed and then lost sensation, had a false awakening.
That's cool.
It was pretty funny though. I do enjoy having really funny dreams like that. Because I have a sense of humor, so I completely get it when my dreams do too, and I thoroughly enjoy the sense of humor that I can have. Like, what was it? There was a few nights ago. Oh, I'm trying to think that there are certain times where my dreams just if they feel like sometimes they have a sense of humor or something really crazy is funny. There was one where I was some of the dream signs that I get and I go back and look at them later are hilarious. Like I was 2 nights ago. The only dream I could recall that night was really vivid though. I was in an upstairs classroom on the second floor of one of the college buildings. So that building goes ground 1, 2, 3. So it's the third floor by American standards. And I was in this classroom and I was on my work computer and logged in. And it was some computer science class. And then I logged in and checked my work email. And there's an email from someone who's out of the office saying he'll be back in a couple weeks. And then I was like, yeah, I already knew that. And then someone else came up and said, that's my computer. And I was like, so dream sign number 1, I'm in the classroom building I shouldn't be in at this moment. Dream sign number 2, I'm in a classroom that I shouldn't be in. Dream sign number 3, I'm in a class that I'm not taking. Number 4, this guy happens to have my exact same model computer with my exact same login info. Yeah, that's the thing. Then number 5, I go to try to go to my actual classroom. I go down the elevator and it accelerates much faster than the elevator in that building actually does. That's number 5. I walk into my class. Number 6, it's the wrong professor teaching, and the class times have been changed. So there's number 6. On number 7, South Korea gets invaded by the KPA, and Kim Jong-un's army captures Seoul and people are shooting RPGs at them. And then number 8, I'm saying we should go nuke North Korea. So I had a good bit of dream signs, and I found them funny. So when I wake up to think about that dream, I'm laughing my butt off because I find that funny.
Yeah, that's great. I had one time where I got lucid and I told it was a dream character. A lot of my dream characters are people I know or from my past. And this was a friend from childhood. And I was like, oh, we're dreaming. I was like, oh, I'm dreaming. This is a dream. And he's like, what? No, it's not. And I was like, oh, look. So I started levitating and he screams. He's like, like freaking out and then runs out of the room. That was pretty good. Those are funny to me. See ya, Hui. Hi, Vicent.
Let's see, where are we? First off, good. People can still see you. Good. Just to
I don't have a camera on. I've got an avatar, but yeah.
I'm gonna turn mine off. Watch this. Something I was never able to do on YouTube. All right, I want to show you what I was able to do on YouTube. Here that I was never able to do on YouTube. I can do that.
Nice. I have an avatar of a skull, a rose, like it's a carnation or something, and a bubble. Some old Flemish.
It said it actually has alt text because it says appears to be still life with a skull.
Yeah.
Vanita's still life.
That's
live
cool.
124.22 and 4 people watching. We've been live for almost an hour and a half, guys. It's awesome.
Woot. I'll probably hop off here in a few minutes. It's been really fun.
Same.
I like
I
the
usually
conversational
run, if I run
thing.
this long, it's usually to an hour and a half, and then I sort of call it quits. So
Cool.
let's do this. Let's do my normal thing. Any last questions for those who are still here before we call it a day? Any last questions? I normally do this when I end a Q&A stream. I usually ask for last questions before I conclude. Let's see. Doesn't look like any yet. I'll give you guys like 30 more seconds. See if we have anything. But anyway, DJ, it's been really enjoyable having you here. Thanks for showing up for Q&A 13. I'll edit the title. I'm going to edit the title to put your YouTube channel name in there because you're a guest. I'll start doing that when I have guests come on because I won't plan in advance who comes on. It's just whoever's available or wants to. And so I'll edit my titles to have a featuring. I also want to start my Skyfall interviews series and panel series. And the panel is going to require more people. I want to get as many people as I can, like from our groups on here. And then I'd like to do an interview series. I want to interview you. I want to interview Sensei, interview Lunar, interview Oreo. Which Oreo wasn't as busy as he is. Honestly, would love to interview him.
Yeah, the panel thing sounds really good. And like it kind of reminds me of the old Team Lucid Dream format. But like our group is like we've got massive amounts of experience between everybody.
Exactly.
We're all kind of obsessed with lucid dreams. So we're a pretty standout, unique group on the online community.
Yes, and I'm really thankful you guys brought me in as Glitch and Sensei back in the day because I didn't know Glitch was, and I thought he was a newbie when he was on Dream Cafe asking questions as I was trying to help him, and I was like, I think you'd be good joining our other group, and I was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. And then I learned from Sages, who I haven't heard from in months. I started thinking about awareness more and schema and stuff like that, and I actually started learning. And that's when I really started getting that academic style learning from you guys, bouncing ideas off each other, thinking about things. I've been really enjoying that. We need to get back into that more. We don't do that as much as we used to.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that you end up talking about the same things over and over again.
You do, yeah.
The thing that we don't tend to talk about is being individual experiences, like getting into the details of like what it feels like to do dream control, or what kind of mindset do you have in a lucid dream, getting into all those aspects of lucid dreaming.
I definitely talk about that on Dream Cafe when I talk about, and on my stream sometimes I talk about anxiety and how it influences my dream control, how my emotions play a role in it. That is part of your mindset. That is part of that, and I think that's important to talk about. And I usually, whenever I tell someone about dream control, I always make sure to include, all right, how are your emotions play a role in that? How do they determine things? Because the way I see it is emotions kind of influence the theme or the mood of the experience. They're sort of like the backdrop to everything that's going on. Sort of the theme. They can influence which schema are going to be most likely to be used. What's going to be your strong association can be determined by your emotions, which is why they're important. So I tend to include that as well, because if I'm really confident and or excited or something like that, then I have no problems whatsoever with anything I try to do. And then if I get anxious, I have problems all over the place, or trying to be frantic.
Yeah, Gamerbath gave us an ultimate question.
I know, and I'm going to ignore it because I was
okay. Yeah, I mean, the thing with emotions, that doesn't get talked about a lot, and I think it's also hard for people to understand because most beginners are having very short lucid dreams, and the sense that you have in a lucid dream when you're starting is pretty what's the word, like almost like fuzzy, or like you're listening to, like you're underwater and you're hearing noise above water.
Not necessarily. For me, my first one actually literally was me going underwater, trying to breathe.
So it was
my second one. Keep in mind, in most of my dreams, I have full sensory awareness in most of my dreams. So in my second lucid dream on, I had full tactile sensation. I was walking around my bedroom going, "This is my bedroom," but it's not. Like actually just in the moment, walking around there. There are these dream characters there, 2 dream scientists. They're experimenting with lucid dreaming, ironically, right? Really ironic. And I was talking about them, and I was like, "This is awesome." I thought that was my first lucid at the time, but it's actually my second one. And I was walking around there just exploring, and it was kind of amazing because I could feel everything and hear everything and engage with what was going on, and could break physics because I was doing that nose plug reality check thing. Yeah, breaking physics is kind of cool, not gonna lie. And it's just so real because you're engaging in that experience. And some of my false awakenings just this week when I was getting out of bed is like, it feels so real, but I know it's a dream already. Like there was one last week where I was petting my cat, the one who died last year. She's dead. That was actually the dream sign that got me lucid.
Mm-hmm.
And I got out of bed, feels just like my bed. My slippers in the exact place I leave them every night because I expect them to be. I get out of bed, walk around my room a bit, and I'm going like, this is so amazing. Like it feels so real, yet I know it's not. Like I know it's a dream. And I tried to fly, and of course my anxiety got in my way and just sort of fracked me over. But it's like it feels so vivid, so there. Like it's so awesome. I really thoroughly enjoy those experiences. They're fun.
Yeah. I think right now I've been having some job stress, and that's been bringing up a lot of other stuff that kind of latent emotional issues. And so my lucids right now, when I do get lucid, are basically nightmares. And I've been kind of, I can handle it way better than I used to be able to. But it's a little bit of a pain. So there's this kind of underlying fear of getting lucid because I know what I'm going to have to deal with. But I can deal with it. It's just,
we're going to answer this.
Put my head down and doing it.
Last question here, and then we're going to conclude. So I'd like to thank you for coming, everyone. This is Darian. He's asking, while doing wild, how long does it take to transition into a dream? And my answer to that is it really depends on the person, and it depends on how long you fall asleep, like how long it takes you to fall asleep at that time. And it is honestly, it can vary. It can be anywhere from 30 seconds to 30 minutes. Like honestly, it can really vary.
Yeah, I'd say you're going to have to learn how long it takes you to transition because you're the only one that can really answer that question. So the only way you're going to be able to answer it is by experimenting. Take the advice of people that, you could do this anchor, you could do that anchor. You could, do a body relaxation, or you can, whatever advice is out there to do wild, give it a shot, experiment with it. But over time, after doing it several times, you should be able to learn some patterns. You should be able to start seeing some patterns. And then once you see your patterns, you can start learning how to work with them. So, just keep talking to people and
I will say, just ignore anyone who says that sleep paralysis is part of wild. It's not.
Yeah. It's always
all right. Thank you very much, Darian. Thank you, DJ, for showing up this afternoon.
Yeah.
For like
thanks
an
for
hour.
having me.
It's been awesome. Oh, anytime, man. Anytime. I mean, this makes my streams a lot more fun because I can actually get people here. So anytime you want to chill and you're not streaming that day and you want to come on here, let me know. I'll be free.
All right. Sounds good.
Have a good one.
All right. See y'all later.
Bye.